Alright, it's been a minute, maybe a week or so since the last time I videoed, and as you can see the weeds are coming up with a vengeance again, but we also have new growth on the plants we want. Additionally, these butterfly weeds are doing good, the indigo is doing well, and it looks like a whole bunch of our cottons actually came up. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the 12 I put in there. It's cool. I want to say we must have got a whiff of rain or something, because things perked up way too much for what I would think. Scarlet sage is putting on new growth. Larleaf sage is putting on new growth, getting ready to bloom. Let's see. The Guatemalan indigos are coming up with a vengeance. Caroline indigos are lesser. Let's see, none of the lupine. None of the false indigo. Coral beans coming back out. Lots more landsleeve coreopsis coming up. Lots more rudbeckia coming up. Frostweed is really getting on up there. Hairy leafcup is finally budding out, all of them. Joe Pye weed is putting on a lot of growth. These guys look horrible. Oh, we do have one more butterfly weed coming up. That's cool. As well as black-eyed Susan. So I think I might go try and transplant that guy. Swamp sunflower is taking off like a weed still. Elliot's aster is putting out new growth. Awesome. Oh, the monarchs have decimated the swamp milkweed, and it is just ravaged by aphids. I'm probably gonna have to do something about that. Lord. Yeah. So yeah, they got hungry. I'm gonna have to find out something I can do to get rid of the aphids, just to knock them off of this thing, before it sucks them completely of life. Let's see. Yarrow's getting ready to bloom. Chapula River Coreopsis has new growth. We have blooms on our Golden Maiden Coreopsis. They're blooming all over the place right now, so that's good to see. They're in time. Alright, do we still have our, what you call it, Brazilian skipper? I don't know. I don't see it anymore. I don't see it on the cannas either. It may have got. Let's see, the frog fruit is coming out with a vengeance, and it looks like that one did well and truly die. Let's see, hibiscus is growing good, gladiolus are growing good. Golden Alexander doesn't look too good. Blue mistflower is coming up good again. Spiderwort's blooming. They're putting on some height. Stokeisha's growing. Leatris is still doing whatever it's doing. That self-heal is spreading quick. Obedient plant's putting on new growth. Let's see, Cyclopod is coming up. Oh Lord, this bed is getting swallowed by sedge. Rabbit tobacco is putting on growth. Let's see, butterfly weeds are still there. They haven't gotten eaten. Phlox is really blooming. Don't see much more coming out of that Indian grass. This appears to be our only clump of carrots. We got one more stray one right there. There's some more there. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of them, but it seems to be all we're getting. Giardia is actually putting on some growth now. Alright, good. Good signs, mostly. Other than the weeds. Good Lord, them weeds. And the swamp milkweed. So I'm going to look up remedies for them aphids. I don't know whether it's coming out here spraying them with neem oil or vinegar or something or what. But I just want to knock them back as much as I can to give these things a fighting chance just to get started. Generally, you can get some aphids and stuff out here to eat them all, but that's not happening fast enough with the 1-2 punch coming from the monarchs. So anyway, most of good signs, things are coming around. I think we must have had a whiff of rain or something, because everything seems to have perked up. Alright, Eleanor came out here and weeded everything for me. She did a great job. Fantastic. Now I don't got to do that. That's awesome. Volunteers are worth their weight in gold. And I'm out here with my mix of aphid getter goner, and this is just dish soap, vinegar, and what else? 91% isopropyl alcohol mixed like 1-2 tablespoons to a quart. And I'm just gonna spray this over all the aphids and go over there and check the butterfly weed as well. And hopefully it kills them, and if it doesn't, I'm going to go buy some neem oil or some kind of insecticide or something. We don't have any monarchs at the moment, so I'm not worried about killing monarch caterpillars. Plus there's no leaves on these, so not really anything for them to get, poisoned by. Get! Anyway, I'm just going to do that to this. I'm just going to soak the snot out of them, and hopefully it doesn't kill my milkweed as well. Okay, well, the aphids have been spritzed. Don't know if that's going to do anything. I'm really dubious about whether or not this is going to do anything. Every suggestion I saw was some variation of dish soap with or without vinegar and isopropyl alcohol, and not a single person would recommend me an insecticide. And I understand not wanting to kill your monarch caterpillars, but when you're in a situation like this where you don't have any monarchs, an insecticide might be, useful. If it's the difference between having milkweed and not. Milkweed is such a finicky thing where I am here on the coast, that, I'm in a particularly novel circumstance where I'm not hurt for monarchs, I'm hurt for milkweed so that I can make more monarchs. And the amount of monarchs I have surpasses the amount of milkweed I have. And without planting tropical milkweed, there's not really anything I can do that's better adapted to our climate. But anyway, hopefully this organic method will work. And then I don't have to put neem oil or something on this. Anyway, I'll keep researching and I'll keep applying this. And if it looks like nothing's happening, then we'll break out the insecticides. I ain't afraid to do it. Alright, a couple more updates. Looks like the aphid getter goner spray has worked mostly. There's still some left, but looks like most of them died on the vine, so that's great. I'm going to reapply that. And if we go over here and we look at the butterfly weed, it also seems to have worked pretty well. There's still aphids, so they're all going to get sprayed, but it does look to be working. It's a couple days since I applied it, so they've had some time to recover. Also, I learned from my volunteer that the butterfly weed that she gave me wasn't actually butterfly weed. It was more swamp milkweed. She just had the wrong label on there and then forgot to tell me. So this is our only butterfly weed, I believe. I think that's the one I planted. So yeah, that one might be too. I don't remember if I planted that. No, that one got 8. So yeah, we don't actually have any butterfly weed except for maybe one. So I'm gonna have to I took the other ones that were in the pots and brought them to my house to get them away from the monarchs. So I'll have to bring those back at a later date when they get a little bit bigger, and I'm gonna have to transplant these over here to those guys once they get a little bit bigger and I feel a little bit more confident moving them. So yeah, interesting developments. I'm gonna go respray some aphids, and that should be it. Actually, a few more quick updates. The golden maiden coreopsis is now really getting into bloom. So this is a lovely plant. I love them. They grow pretty much anywhere. This guy is leaking again. I have not done anything. So this soaker hose is just, something's up with it. It's kind of probably garbage. Do not like that. I don't know what I'm going to do to rectify that. But that's the second time that, no, that one broke before. So this one is broken now. So I'm going to have to fix that. See, nothing else is blooming yet that wasn't already. Phlox and spiderwort are still blooming. But I did notice that we did not get rid of our Brazilian skipper. He is right back. Now, if the camera will focus. He's down in there. You can see him in there. He's a little lime green fella. Big and chunky. They're a huge caterpillar for the caterpillar's that big and the butterfly's that big. So anyway, he's still alive, so that's good news. Thalia is not dead yet. It does look a bit iffy, but they really don't like getting transplanted. They really take a beating. They'll come back, but they just don't like it in the interim. Let's see. Nothing else really seems to be doing anything. Ooh, we got a bee fly. Yeah, everything else looks good. Swamp sunflowers. Oh my lord, you see these? They're just exploding. That's what we want to see. And so's the Joe Pye. Leaf cup's coming out good. Frostweed's putting on height. Yeah, it's only been a couple days, but things are really going. Things are looking up. I'm liking the sound of that. Still worried about my milkweed, but hopefully they should be alive. They look like they got absolutely hammered. They may croak, and I may have to move them over here, and it may be a couple years before we finally have milkweed. If you look down in here, you'll notice, I don't know if it shows up, but our little caterpillar is crystallizing. Sweet. So he's gonna make it, hopefully, unless he gets picked off by a wren. Anyway, today what I'm doing is I've got the hose unhooked, and we're gonna be digging a trench and laying some conduit, because we're gonna get some trail work done out here, and I would rather not have to dig through 6 inches of shell sand to bury a hose. And if the hose ever gets cut or something, I can pull it through the conduit. Well, I guess if the conduit gets cut, then there's no way I'm pulling the hose through it. But yeah, this will help protect this from getting cut. You know, if somebody's out here digging or something like that, they'll hit the conduit first. Might save my hose. I think I probably spent 3 times as much in conduit as I did on the hose, but I digress. Conduit's reusable, hose is reusable. Hopefully it should save one or the other. So we're gonna get to digging, and yeah, try not to get heat stroke. Well, after much grunting, groaning, shoving, and shoveling, we got our trench dug. Dug it about 6 inches, 7 inches deep the whole way. Cleaned it back out. Got the conduit all stuck together. Got the hose snaked through it. There is a correct way to run conduit, and I thankfully thought about that ahead of time before I laid conduit. You always want to put the flare towards what you're running, so that way stuff comes through, out the other pipe, into the flare, and keeps going. If you run it the other way, it'll hit the lip on the other pipe, bind up, twist around. You're gonna have a bad time. This was the maximum amount of hose I could run with it being hot. If it was colder, the hose would probably, you know, stick together a lot better, but it was starting to bind up and twist there at the end. So this is about 65 foot. And yeah, it had just enough that I got to the very, very, very end. I was able to grab it, pull it through, and if you get stuck, you can always just break the section in half and then feed it through the midpoint. So I'm gonna hook this up, pull my slack through, drop her down into the pit, and start burying this stuff. Fun. Alright, slack's pulled through, conduit's in the ground. I'm gonna go back and bury it, hook her back up, turn the water on, and hopefully it still works. Keyword. Alright, conduit is all dug, hose is hooked back up, but before I turn the water back on and leak test it, here's some of the artifacts I found just while digging that trench. You know, we've got porcelain, some other kind of fired clay, probably more porcelain, some iridescent glass. This looks to be a pot. More porcelain. This is just a hunk of brick. This might be glass. I'm not certain. This is definitely glass, but it's got like this iridescent mother of pearl coating on it. More glass, pinkish glass here. More porcelain, more porcelain, more porcelain. This is the lip of something, well, bottom edge of something. More brick, but this is, sounds like fire brick. More porcelain, some more glass, another piece of porcelain. This is another pot, it looks like. Another piece of porcelain. This one's got a really thick glaze on it. More china. Pink glass, green glass, some opaque or translucent glass, more porcelain. This is an interesting like greenish glass, and it's got this like mother of pearl coating on it that's like very metallic, semi-metallic and shiny, and that appears to be some sort of oxide coating that has accumulated as it sat in the ground, because as you can see it's here on the broken bits, which I find really interesting. It's just sort of flaking off in the sunlight now too. Huh. Interesting. And then this is some kind of pot that's got a really heavy glaze on the outside, but it's hand spun on the inside. So yeah, that's just from digging a 7-inch, 70-foot trench just through the middle of this field. Used to be an old plantation house there. We suspect there was a cotton gin house somewhere here, and then the house is there. So yeah, this place out here is just rife with artifacts. And if any of you know what this stuff is, let me know down there, because I'm not a historian or an archaeologist. This site has history all the way back to end of the 1600s, like 1690. So all the way from the start of 1700 up through modern day. That's the time scale, plus Native American artifacts. But none of this looks like Native American pottery to me. But anyway, guess let's cut the well on and see what happens. Anywho, we're gonna make sure this is off, open this, cut the water on, cut that off, then contact. Let's go see if we're leaking. Well, she's bled now. Well, nope, now she's bled. Whoop, or not. You good now? Anyway, we're gonna cut the irrigation on and let it bleed a little bit more naturally. Soaker holes will let out all the air, no problem. Anywho, everything looks good so far. We'll know once I see a pond forming. But anywho, we now have buried irrigation. It's great. I don't got to worry about mowing over this anymore. Still got to worry about weed eating that, but we'll get over it. Also, McCanna's coming up down here. Neat. That's the update. Aphids are dead again, but they're coming back. But we do have a ladybug now, so we got some integrated pest management going on, although I'm not the one integrating it. Okay, it's been about a week, I think, since the last time I filmed, so let's just go through and do a quick update. Scarlet sage is starting to bloom. That's nice. Really didn't get much blooms out of the lyre leaf sage. You can see how much they did bloom, but I never really saw them. Coral beans coming back up. We have an absolute profusion of landsleaf coreopsis and black-eyed Susan. Let's see, indigos are coming up. This might actually be, nope, that's one of the ones I planted. Yeah, I don't see any lupine or any of the false indigo, but the indigo I do have is coming up. I probably need to thin those guys there, but I think I'm just going to let natural selection take over. We have some landsleaf coreopsis coming over there. May have to pull them up. But anyway, landsleaf coreopsis is doing good. Black-eyed Susan's doing great. That one, that plug I put in there is just taking off like a weed. You know, hairy leaf cup is all up. Joe Pye weed's putting on height. Dumped out all the seed plugs in here. There was nothing else coming up except for a black-eyed Susan or two. Muck sunflower is exploding. Good. That one died for some reason. I'm not sure why. Elliot's aster is looking real leafy. Swamp milkweed is putting out new growth. This guy has for a hot minute. That one is just starting. And I see oleander aphids on them already, so I'm going to spray those. I just sprayed the butterfly weed. They didn't have too much on them, just a couple of plants. Let's see. Yarrow is blooming already. Chipula River coreopsis is growing a little bit. Golden Maiden coreopsis is in full bloom now. I fixed that leak over there. We got one of our cannas blooming. That's nice to see. Still haven't killed the thalia yet. Let's see. Gladiolas should bloom if they're going to bloom here in the next month. Well, like 2 weeks. They're starting to bloom around the island. I don't see any stalks shooting up yet, but they may surprise us. Let's see. Hibiscus has some height on it now. They're about maybe a foot tall. This golden Alexander is looking not so good. Neither's that one. That one's actually regenerating. I don't know what happened to it. That one's still got some life in it. Blue mist flower is exploding. This is definitely an ornamental variety because it's really leafy. Stokecia is attempting to flower. Ohio spiderwort is putting out another flush. Oh, the self-heal's blooming. I didn't even notice. Look at that. That's a fantastic pollinator plant if you can get it. Doesn't grow very tall, but it'll grow as a ground cover. It's a nice plant. Let's see. Obedient plant, taking off. What are you? Oh yeah, this is that seaside goldenrod I left. Sucopod is surprisingly kind of wallowing. I think it's waiting for hot weather. Rabbit tobacco definitely is not waiting. As you can see, the milkweeds are doing pretty good over here without the monarchs eating them. Woodland phlox is dialing back. The Indian grass is really just languishing. That's all I got for the American wild carrot so far. I think they probably like a sandier soil. And Gaillardia is coming out. yeah, we had a real nice heavy soaking rain, so weeds are coming out again. Great, we'll have to get out here and weed them. I'm going to go spray some oleander aphids. That stuff works. It doesn't have any stay. It's a contact insecticide. Well, insecticide. It kills them. It's an insecticide. It's just, you know, not a, you know, systemic like biochemical poison. It's just like dissolves the waxy coating on them and dries them out. So anyway, I'm gonna do that, and we'll come back another week or two when stuff's happening. Look right there. We timed that perfectly. I just showed up by chance today, and it looks like our Brazilian skipper has closed. Awesome. That's our first successful butterfly reared in the butterfly garden. Ah, man, that is just, that's beautiful. Oh, look over there. And we have a Gulf fritillary on the scarlet sage, and he was just on the gold-maned coreopsis. Neat. Don't have any passion flower in here because there's tons of it out in the field, so might put some up here on the gate at some point, but it's just not in the cards at the moment. I'm gonna get a photo of this guy. Okay, quick update. So it is the 19th. And I think something got in here and ate on stuff. I don't think it was a deer, but something did. If you look over here at the gladiolus, the tips have been nibbled off. I can't imagine anything would have done that but a deer. Brazilian skipper, you saw that. But yeah, two of them have just been nipped. Don't really know what's going on there. And if you come over here to the obedient plant, same sort of deal. This one has been bit clean off, along with the frostweed. And this obedient plant over here, we got a lot of frostweed over here. I'm gonna have to pull this stuff up. It's gonna crowd everything else out. But that's all I see. Common self-hills in full bloom. The frog fruit's just starting to bloom. Not seeing any other predation. Aphids are better now, but still an issue. Just sprayed them over there. Those are the swamp milkweed's finally leafing out. I'm just gonna run by real quick and just see if I see any more deer damage. You know, nothing touched the Elliott's aster or the sunflowers. They love sunflowers, so I have a feeling it's not deer. My thought would be rabbits, but I can't imagine a rabbit would have done something to the gladiolus. Especially like that. You know, nothing's touched the leaf cup or the Joe Pye or the frostweed over here. You know, nothing's touched the black-eyed Susan or the coreopsis. Looks like something was digging in here. Because my landsleaf coreopsis is dug up right there, and there's a little pocket. Doesn't really matter. Oh, a whole ton of it. I bet there's a squirrel over here. Let's see, indigos are still doing alright. They're just kind of floundering. I don't think they like this compost. Scarlet sage is finally blooming. Yeah, I don't know what's over here browsing. Because it's only the gladiolus. Also some kind of aphids on there too. And it just looks like something, you know, last week just nipped the top of these off. Oh yeah, and the tops of the spiderwort have been nipped as well. And then everything, it's just right here. So I bet a deer jumped in here. I can't really imagine one would flat-footed jump a 6-foot fence like that and not at least break a wire. I bet they probably came through the gate. Well, it's the 21st, and I came out here for a completely unrelated reason. Look down in here, and wouldn't you notice? We got black swallowtails. I see at least 3 of them right there. One there, one there, and one there. And yeah, it's on the golden Alexander. So that's what I planned it for. Awesome. That's the 3rd species of butterfly using this. I feel it won't be too long before we get cloudless sulfurs and sleepy oranges over here. They really have their flush in summer and fall. So I'm sure they'll show up, but we have plenty of other sickle pod out there, so they may not use this. Don't see any American ladies on the rabbit tobacco yet, but they'll get another pulse in fall. Yeah, more butterflies. Stuff's growing. Looks good. Only been a couple days. It still just feels like everything's grown about 2 or 3 inches though. Windy out today. Alright, another update. Gardia seems to be doing alright. Indian grass is finally growing. American wild carrot. Don't got a lot of it coming up, but the stuff I do got coming up is there. It's behind the native stuff. That stuff's out in the field blooming already. I don't know if there are any. I don't see any right here by the garden, but I can see some right over there. It should already be blooming, so it's well behind. Witham phlox is dying back, probably getting too hot. Aphids are staying off of the butterfly weed over here, which is actually swamp milkweed, except for that one, I believe. Let's see, may actually have some American ladies here. Maybe? No, we got something on the rabbit tobacco, but it's not a butterfly. Sickle pod is coming up, nice and strong finally. Took it a minute. Let's see, obedient plant and the salt marsh goldenrod? Whatever that was, that seaside goldenrod. They're floundering. Still don't know what got in here and ate on the obedient plant. Self-heal is exploding. Stokecia may bloom. Liatris is putting on some height. Spiderwort is, interestingly, not growing any better than it should be. That mistflower is dying back. These look alright. Golden Alexander is dying back, probably too hot for them. Let's see. Looks like the gladiolus may not bloom. All of the buds got ate off of them. So may not get a bloom out of them this year. Actually, this one should still bloom right here unless I just broke it. A lot of height coming up out of the hibiscus. Cannas are getting ready to bloom. This one's already done. Doesn't look like it got pollinated, but we see 2 more flower stalks coming out, so that's nice. Frog fruit's doing exactly what I wanted it to do. Seems like we had one germinate from like an old seed or something, but these are just blowing up. This one that's right underneath the water is just sending out runners. And my hope is to get that to basically run all the way over to the golden Alexander, and I don't doubt that it will do that. Golden Maiden Coreopsis is on the downtick now. Had a nice strong bloom out of it. Chapula River Coreopsis is kind of struggling a bit. Yarrow's not quite in full bloom, but you know, strongly blooming at the moment. Just sprayed the aphids again on the swamp milkweed. It's really suffering. Weeds are starting to take over this bed. Had a volunteer come out here, she did these too, and neither of us have just had the time to get to these 2 yet. So hopefully we'll get to them before they get swallowed. Elliot's aster is putting on a lot of height. Swamp sunflowers are doing awesome. They're really tall for this time of year, so that's good. This Nuttall's thistle that I left here is doing well, and we'll just keep leaving that until I run into it and get stabbed and mad and kick it over. Joe Pye weed's putting on a lot of height. I don't know what this thing is, but it's growing outside of it. We'll probably have to get rid of that. Let's see, hairy leaf cup may have buds. Thinking about it, don't know, but they're doing really good. Ooh, I don't know what that is. Oh, that's probably a Chenopodium or something. May have to pull that up, might be a goosefoot. Ooh, black-eyed Susan might be blooming here shortly. Lance leaf coreopsis, don't know if they'll bloom this year. They're already blooming at my house, so maybe too late, but I think we're got plenty of time for the Rudbeckia. Let's see. Coral bean is still kind of floundering. Guatemalan indigo is actually putting on a good bit of height. Carolina indigo is kind of floundering, but I'm not really too worried about them. Let's see. Lyre-leaf sage is finished. Scarlet sage is still doing some flowering. And yeah, that's it. Mostly good news. It's the like last week of May, just before the start of June, by the way. Alright, it's the second day of May. We're back out here, not much change. Stuff is still getting tall though. Cannas are in full bloom, which is nice to see. Had a volunteer come out here, brought me 2 more swamp milkweed, so that's a nice bonus that'll round that out. Hopefully the aphids will stay off. I just sprayed them again. I cannot get the dang things to die over there. I've mostly killed them off over there, but they just keep coming back. It's got to be, I don't know how they're weathering it, but it just seems like 1 or 2 survive and then they recolonize on the fresh stuff every time, but I digress. Also, the mechanical timer seems to have sprung a leak. The threads gave up the ghost. I think it got cross-threaded when I first put it on or something, but it never properly sealed. So she brought me out a spare mechanical timer, which is awesome. She's got it set for a 30-minute 6 a.m. Watering for every single day, which is perfect. So that's great. And whoo boy, you can tell that thing was spraying water straight up because we've got 5 inches in the rain gauge. It hadn't rained in a month, so it was just a geyser apparently. Yeah, so that's really it. No real new plant updates, other than stuff's looking pretty good, and we got a new timer. Alright, 9th of June, another update. Things are looking good. They seem to really like the small little touch of rain we had in this automatic timer. Giardias are growing up. The Indian grass seems to have rebounded. Still have just that one little patch of American wild carrot. Woodland phlox is on the way out for the season. Looks like the aphids got over here to the swamp milkweed, which is exploding now. This is the butterfly weed right here. Everything else is swamp milkweed. We may actually have some no ladies on the rabbit tobacco yet. The sickle pod is blowing up finally. I knew they would do that. It just takes them a minute. Let's see. Cannas are still blooming. I don't see any new Brazilian skippers. Frog fruit is spreading as designed. Gladiolas I don't think are going to bloom. They should have bloomed by now. And that one might, but I don't think they're going to. Scarlet hibiscus putting up some height. Golden Alexanders are on the downtick. Blue mistflower is putting out some oomph. That one died though. Oh, they're actually trying to flower already. I don't think that's a good sign. I think those are supposed to flower. And maybe these are ageratums and not mistflower. Maybe I got scammed. Regardless, Selfheal is wandering like crazy. Looks like the Stokecia has, at least one of them has bloomed already. Liatris is putting up flower stalks. Spiderwort is getting ready to bloom again. Obedient plant is flushing back out from where it got nibbled. Look at them swamp sunflowers. They're just blowing up. L8 aster's doing great. Swamp milkweed, they all have aphids now. I need to spray those. Yarrow's doing nice. It's bushing out. That should spread, fill up the rest of this by the end of the year. Golden mane coreopsis is about done blooming for the year. Chapula River coreopsis is just hanging on. Lyre-leaf sage has, I think it kept bloom. I just haven't seen it bloom. I guess I just haven't been here at the right time. Scarlet sage is still going. Coral beans finally putting out some height. Indigo seems to be floundering. Lance leaf coreopsis growing real good. I actually have some flowers on the black-eyed Susan. They're coming up great. Probably should have thinned them, but well, whatever, we'll figure it out next year. Frostweed, doing well. Hairy leaf cup, nice, rebounded perfectly. Getting flowers on my Nuttall's thistle that isn't actually in the garden. And Joe Pyeweed's putting on height, so good news all around. I wish I could say that about the Sea Island cotton, but at least this is going well. Alright, it's the 23rd of June. Back out here at the Pollinator garden, just giving a quick update. So the Guardia is finally blooming. American wild carrot isn't really getting up. I think they're too close together and we only got that one clump that came up. Indian grass is putting on some height. Phlox is buried down in there. It's still there, it's just it doesn't like the heat. Swamp milkweed's doing good. The butterfly weed's doing really good. If we're really lucky, we may get a bloom out of it before the end of the summer. Rabbit tobacco is doing great. Sucopod blew up, growing like a weed, because it is. Obedient plant is stagnating. We got betony blooming in there. Selfheal is finishing up, doesn't like the heat. Leatris is getting ready to bloom. Stokecia, you know, has had some blooms finish up. I don't think it's going to put out any more. Spiderwort's putting out another flush of blooms. The mistflower is blooming, so I think this is actually Azuratum and not mistflower, because mistflower shouldn't bloom until like September, and it's June, so I'm pretty sure this is Azuratum. Doesn't matter. The Azuratum is not going to do as good, but it's functionally equivalent, so no biggie. We may have to get some mistflower to stick in there. Golden Alexander is still hanging on, doesn't like the heat. Scarlet hibiscus is slowly growing, it's putting on height. Cannas are still blooming, got tons of seeds on them, so they love it. Actually got a bloom out of the gladiolus. I think we got another stalk coming up. These guys are about a month late, so it's interesting that they're finally deciding to bloom. Frog fruit's doing exactly what I want. It's growing in here. It's going to take over this whole front of the bed. That's what I want. Thalia is still hanging on. It's actually putting on height, so it may just do here. Goldmane Coreopsis is still blooming. It'll be finishing up here shortly. Let's see. Chapula River Coreopsis looks like it might be trying to put out some flower stalks. Euro put out a new flush of growth, and it's finishing up blooming. It's still going a little bit. Let's see. Swamp milkweed. Still growing. The two new ones are doing all right. This guy's doing pretty good. He's recovering. That one's struggling hard. But no monarchs again. L8 aster's doing good. They're looking a little pale, but they're putting out new growth, getting bushy. Swamp sunflower hasn't grown as much as I expected it to since the last time, but you know, it's a good height, nothing to shake a stick at. Joe Pye weed looks good. Yeah, I mean, it's growing up. Hairy leaf cup is about full grown now. It's actually getting ready to bloom, so, oh, it actually has a bloom open. Look at that. So they took real nice. Frostweed's doing good, nice and tall. Black-eyed Susan is getting ready to be in full bloom here in the next week or so. Lanceleaf Coreopsis, I don't think they're going to bloom this year. Oh well, maybe we might get a couple of blooms out of them, but they're past their prime. They usually bloom in April. Let's see, Caroline Indigo is doing all right. Guatemalan Indigo is actually putting out blooms down here, so that's cool to see. They're doing good. Coral bean's coming back around. I'm probably going to get a wild one and stick it in there. That one I got from the nursery is not as vigorous as it should be. We'll see. We'll wait till next year. Lyre-leaf sage is doing all right. It's putting out some growth. I don't think it's, well, I think it may still be putting out flowers. And scarlet sage is still blooming. So that's the status of the garden. So I think I'm going to call it here for this video. Yeah, everything seems to be here. Got some thin spots. Need to plug some more plants in, maybe swap some stuff out here. But all in all, I mean, other than, you know, being due for a weeding, everything's looking real good. I think we're on track to be in pretty much damn near full display by this fall. So if you like what I'm doing here, go down there, like the video, comment, tell me what other plants you want to see me trying stuff in here. Just keep in mind this is the low country of South Carolina. We're on the margin of subtropical, so just keep that in mind. I can't do any, you know, cold weather plants here. They just will not survive. And also no exotics, no ornamentals. It's got to be all hardy native stuff. And yeah, if you want to see the rest of this project, go down there, subscribe, stick around. I'll be putting out periodic updates as we go, probably once every 2 months or so. So, you know, maybe every season. Whatever, we'll see as cool stuff happens. So, till next time, I'm out.